Good morning, Janet.
Hello. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
I heard you once did a food pantry volunteer shift that totally changed your approach to how families think about leftovers. Is that true?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I was in the restaurant business for years and years, and when I finally got out of it, the first thing I decided to do was to go volunteer my time because I finally had time.
Fantastic. I can't wait to dive into your journey, your story with our audience. Let's dive in. The following is a conversation with Janet Irizarry, a food advocate and founder of My Mindful Kitchen. This is Pre-Zero Sports Talk podcast, and I'm your host, Sid Ben Salah. Today, we delve into how everyday kitchen choices can teach leadership, build legacy, and reconnect families to themselves and the planet. To support our show, please check the episode description. Janet, welcome to the show.
Well, I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Your story moved me because it's sincere. You were managing two restaurants, deeply involved in the food industry, and yet one line from your son's college changed everything. To begin, can you take us back at the moment? What did you read in that essay? I will not say, I will not give more than that, so I leave it to you.
So I was very fortunate. I grew up in a household. My mom was actually a stay-at-home mom. So she was always home and she loved the kitchen and that was her happy place. And we used to sit around the table almost every night as a family for dinner. And when she went shopping for fruits and vegetables or at the grocery store, we always came with her. It was just what we did. And you would think that I would do the same for my kids. But I grew up, I was owned restaurants while my kids were growing up. And so therefore, cooking and family dinners really didn't happen. And I didn't think much of it, to be honest with you. And I was out there making money. I thought I was spending quality time with my kids. And then one night after work, I came home and I opened up my computer, which was kind of the family computer at the time, because computers weren't really a big thing back then. And I opened it up to find my son's college essay, you know, the essay that you need to write in order to get into the school where they read and want to make sure you're unique. And my stomach just dropped because my son's college essay said that my dad works for a food company, my mom owns 3 restaurants, and yet there's never any food in the house or dinner on the table. Oh, you laugh.
Oh, I love it. I really love it.
And wow. I was like, wow, what did I miss? And it just tore me apart. And of course, when I went up, I said, Jeffrey, I can't believe. He was like, Mom, take it easy, take it easy. I had to write something. And I think you gave me the idea. Yeah, you laugh.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Janet, what was the shift from owning restaurants to launching My Mindful Kitchen?
Well, I was in the food business, owned and operated restaurants. Never really thought deep down about food and the connection. Well, like my son was missing the connection sitting at the table or food in the house versus what I had at home. And, just start to take food for granted at one point. And so when I got out of the restaurant business, I finally had free time and I knew I wanted to volunteer. Once again, I talk about my mom often, but in our household, that's what she did. She didn't work. She was a stay-at-home mom, but she was very, very active in organizations like Meals on Wheels and the Voluntary Action Center, all that stuff. So that was what I knew I should be doing. And when I got out of the restaurant business, that's the first thing I did. I went and volunteered at Meals on Wheels and also a food pantry. And it was just very eye-opening how I took food for granted and how so many people don't have enough to eat. And it's all come together, my son's college essay, me rethinking my own kitchen table, or, growing up. And I realized how much family dinners and just a place, the most used room in our house, the kitchen, could be used to instill values, because that's what my mom did. I learned so much not realizing it. I don't think she realized it. And how right now we live in a world of abundance.
Yeah.
And you go to the grocery store, there's food on, every shelf is perfectly filled with perfect fruits and vegetables, and the house is always stocked. And I think it's taken for granted, and it goes into the bigger picture of how much food is wasted. So it's all kind of, that's what my Mindful Kitchen is really about. It was started in an effort to reduce household food waste.
Yeah.
But it's turned into so much more because of what the kitchen can teach.
Going back to that essay, and still that question is yes, I laughed because it's such a lovely story, and right or wrong, kids, they speak their mind, But on that essay especially, Janet, did that essay open your eyes to what was missing?
Yes. I felt really horrible. How could I have not given my kids what my mom had given me? And once again, I took it for granted, and I've discussed it with my kids since that essay, and tried to do a better job of it. My kids are out older and out of the house. They have their own kids right now, and hopefully they're instilling the values on their kids. But I also know, and we'll go back to why I started my Mindful Kitchen, not why I started it. I started it as a way to reduce household food waste.
Yeah.
But as I've worked on it, I realized that we're living in times that families are so rushed. You have the social media where you think you have to be perfect and do what your neighbor, everyone else is doing, picture perfect Instagram dinners. And there's a lot of stuff going on in the world that's, you feel like you have no control of, but when you go into the kitchen, you can have control of it all. So change with whatever you're feeling right now, or whatever might be not quite right, or the challenges you face. I really feel that the kitchen can be, like my mom had, the happy place, but you have to just change your mindset. So yes, going back to my son's essay, but I will give you another part of that, which is on a happier note. And this also goes right back to what I'm trying to do with my Mindful Kitchen. When I told my son that I was writing about that and telling people about the college essay, he says, "Really?" He goes, "But Mom, you know what I remember?" He goes, "I remember when I was like 13, you wanted to spend more time with me. So we decided, you brought cooking into the fold." And he goes, "You know what I remember most about that?" And I go, "What?" He goes, "Planning the dinner and then going out shopping. And the time we would spend," and I looked at him, and this was just a year ago. I looked at him, I go, and he's 36 right now.
Yeah.
And I go, "Jeffrey, are you crying right now?" He goes, "Mom, that was such a good memory." And
here we go.
I think
you
that's
have it out there. Yeah. And for sure you have the same memories during your mom's time.
Yes. Oh.
And we all have. And trust me, that essay, I can tell you, you felt horrible. You are not alone. You are not alone. I have that thing constantly. We love cooking. Supper, dinner is a must because everyone is busy from the minute they wake up. Breakfasts are quite full throttle, Everyone is trying to to get within time. But dinners are important. And since the little ones, they were little, we always cook, But then, quite often, there is no time. Traveling, we are busy, meetings, after work, gathering with colleagues and things like that. And I must say, I will not say there is leftovers or prepared meal, but in the fridge. And the kids' reaction is completely negative because they want to see a warm, freshly cooked dish, and it's not their fault. Sometimes, or the brothers, they keep fighting between, you're too spoiled and things like that. It's not about that. It's the memories since they were little. Yeah.
And that's interesting too, because also what we talk about with My Mindful Kitchen is the leftovers you have in the refrigerator are actually, what do you want to call bonus meals? So you do have time, and take them out and put them on a nice piece of plate, but don't eat them like they're leftovers, eat them like they're a full meal. And
but it's here.
I know, but so there's the thing too, is when we talk about how our kids are being brought up and not realizing and respecting that we don't want, you're doing a great thing by eating leftovers. You're not wasting food.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, that's a big part of it too. But,
yeah, sorry. And really on that topic, one thing, maybe people, they don't pay attention to it. I grew up in a household where I cannot leave the table until I sweep completely my plate. And when I say sweep, it's like nothing in there, just to appreciate that food is important. And out there, many people, they're not fortunate to have a proper...
True.
It's not about the abundance of food or whatever. It's just respect to that. So we...
respect.
Absolutely. And we use the same thing with the kids. So, And on that, Janet, what changed in your thinking? Again, we're talking about the essay. We're talking about your son's input in there and remark. What changed in your thinking about leadership in the home?
Well, I think, first of all, no one responds good to being told, eat all your vegetables or don't waste food. And when you change your mindset, when you go into the kitchen and actually look at it, a place to have these conversations with your kids, ones that happen naturally, or taking your kids to the grocery store and with a mission of saying, let's figure out what food here is local, let's talk about food miles, let's talk about, how the food got from the farm to the store. And that's leadership. That's teaching your kids values, because I don't believe there's one value you can not teach your kids in the kitchen. Gratitude, not to waste, teamwork, responsibility, giving back, So once you start talking about food and even that conversation about why we shouldn't waste, I'm a firm believer of explaining to a child why you have to eat all your food, or why we need to not throw it in the garbage. I mean, it's fun conversations, and you never know where those conversations lead. And it's just, when you change your mindset and look at it as a discussion. Actually, I was just with my father yesterday, and I was telling him, my mom is no longer with us, and I was saying, you know what, Dad, you know what I remember Mom doing? Do you remember this? We were young kids. I had an older brother and a younger brother, 3 years apart, on each side. And we weren't getting along, as kids do.
Normal.
And so my mother decided to make a point that one day dinner was going to be done specially. And she made one of us have a blindfold, one of us have our hands tied, and one of us couldn't talk.
Right.
So we had to get through dinner that way. And we had to work as a team. Now, it was a bunch of fun. It was, at first we're like, oh, yeah, we roll our eyes. But then we started having fun, and we started talking again. And after that dinner, I don't know how long it lasted, we were friends again. But think of the other things she taught us by doing that silly, crazy little game. And to me, that's leadership. That's Mom...
Yeah.
In a fun way that just took creativity and made it not the yelling, the screaming. Guys, get along, blah, blah, blah. No one wants to hear that. So leadership in the kitchen, and as a mom, you just call it parenting. But good parenting, that's why I'm like, meals aren't the only thing that are served in the kitchen. It's where parenting can really begin.
Yeah. Why is food waste one of the most overlooked climate issues?
You know what? I don't know. Maybe it's the world I live in. I just hear about it all the time, but I feel like it's something that I just want to scream at the top of my lungs that you got to start listening about this. But thank you for asking that question, because when food goes to the landfill, any food waste, it creates a greenhouse gas, that's methane, that is more potent than carbon dioxide, and it's directly responsible for climate change. So I focus on household food waste for a couple of reasons. One is that it is the number one contributor to all food in the landfill. And two, when we start in the kitchen with our kids, we teach them the good habits. And they can, because people think, what can I do to, mitigate climate change? I'm just one person, I'm one family. But the home is the best place to start because it works exponentially. You're teaching your kids, and they are taking on our mess, to be honest with you. So it empowers them and it teaches them the good habits. And when they go out into the world, they do the right thing. And it just, once again, I like to say, it kind of feeds itself and it works exponentially. But food waste is and plus, on the social aspect of it too, as we were talking about before, people don't have enough to eat.
Yeah.
And yet we who do can waste it and don't think twice about it. We need to start thinking twice about it, And that, I'm creating what I call with my Mindful Kitchen, the 3-ingredient kitchen. And the 3 ingredients is a kitchen filled with mindfulness, belonging, and purpose. And it's a way of thinking about the kitchen in a way that makes you feel good because you're following your values. And those values go from everything from not being wasteful, for having gratitude, and for showing kindness to the world, and others. Belonging is being part of a community of people who understand this and want to, once again, one person, you feel like you can't do much. But when you work as a community to work on this problem, it happens exponentially, starting in the household. And then purpose. I think we all want a purpose, and a lot of people don't feel like they know what that purpose is, or they're too busy to think about it. But if your purpose is to help mitigate climate change or help teach values to your kids, it's all right there. And it all is surrounded by food, and who doesn't love food?
Absolutely. Let me throw at you this one. Now we live in a digital era, you name it. Social media and the youngsters, they spend hours and hours scrolling. Depend which topic, which industry, and mainly is either to do with fashion, the look, you name it, clothes. But then when it comes to food, Janet, and I'm not sure if you have the same experience as I do, there is millions and millions of folks out there on social media posting dishes at the restaurant. Or when they travel, I'm having this, I'm having that, But I never ever seen anything to do with related to food that is prepared at home, meals that they are prepared at home, that people post that. It's all about what they eat at the restaurant or while they're traveling.
Mostly, there are a few that I come across where it's usually a parent with a child in the kitchen, but very few and far. You're absolutely right. There's not many. It's most about food, and once again, talking about restaurants and the waste that happens in restaurant with food, I think you and I have had that conversation before.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, and that's, once again, once you teach your child at home about food and the respect for food, as you talked about before, when they go out to a restaurant, they're more conscious of it and have better habits. Maybe don't order as much as they would have because they'll only order what they know they're going to eat. Or they'll be like, what child says, I want a doggy bag? You know? But that has to become commonplace too, you know, that people do take their food home. And once again, I will, David Burke, who is a famous chef, I you know, that word bonus meal, I think I got that from him. Because if you go out to lunch or dinner and you bring home something extra, you don't have to eat it the way it is. You can remorph it, you know, repurpose it. I don't know, morph wasn't probably the right word, but repurpose it to be something else.
Yeah, repurpose it,
Yeah.
That's correct,
And that's creativity. That's another thing you can teach your kids, how to be creative in the kitchen.
But I really want to see more posts, more I will not say influencers, but the moms, the dads, the single individuals in their own kitchen. Just post what you are preparing. How easy, how difficult. You don't have to be concerned the look of your kitchen or the way things are decorated and stuff like that. I really urge people to do that, just for the sake to boost the awareness about.
I agree, so much so.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
And what do families often misunderstand about leftovers, waste, and the expiring dates?
Oh, well, expiration dates are a handful in itself because they're so misleading.
Yeah.
You know, I think the best way to know if food is bad is nose, you know, smell it, you know, look at it. You could taste it a little bit, but, you know, one of the things that I focus on is how to keep food fresh longer. And I think that's what people don't understand, that broccoli that you buy or those herbs you buy that seem to go bad within 3 or 4 days and you feel like you're going to throw them out, there's ways to keep them fresh much longer. I've kept broccoli fresh for 3 weeks in my refrigerator. You'd never know it. And there's also a way of reviving food. So like I didn't get to use a celery, you know, a bunch of celery I had in my refrigerator. And first of all, I could just cut it up and use it for soup or stir fry or something like that.
Yeah, right.
But instead, I cut off the very bottom of it and I put it in a glass of water up to about this high, you know, an inch and a half, and then put it back in the refrigerator. And I could go to my refrigerator right now and take out that stalk of celery, and it's firm and lovely and as good as the day I bought it. And so there's things within your house that you can do to extend the life of food. And then on the other end of it, there's ways of using a food that is about to go bad, you know, what you should use first. And you talked about leftovers. I'm a big, I love leftovers. When I make something, I normally make enough for 2 or 3 meals and stick in the freezer. But it's doing that. If you're not going to eat it, the freezer's your best friend.
It's,
You know, so
yeah.
I talk about one thing, like with keeping food fresh longer, you know that feeling when you, I don't know if you do laundry, you do it personally, but you have a laundry basket and you get to the bottom of the laundry basket and you realize that there's a match for every sock. That's a great feeling. And that's the feeling when you pull your asparagus out and say, wait, I put those 2 weeks ago.
My wife and I, we call it the sock syndrome. It's not at the beginning it's not only at the beginning, it's at the end where you take everything out of the dryer and you try to figure out what socks, you know, and everyone is blaming everyone and stuff like that. And and we have, believe me, we have a basket full of socks and the kids, they found it funny to mix and match different socks. So yeah.
Yeah, but it's a great feeling when they all match. You know,
we call it the socks syndrome.
So funny. But you know, when you can keep your herbs, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
When you can keep your herbs fresh, you know, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or you use up something in your refrigerator that was going bad, and you make it into something. I always say, like, you look in your refrigerator, you see what might be going bad or what you might need to use up, and then you got those if it's vegetables, and then you look for a meat that might be in your refrigerator, some kind of protein, a bean, and then you think to yourself, maybe a grain also. What am I in the mood for today? Am I in the mood for Mexican food? Would I like a Chinese flair? Would I like barbecue? Whatever it is. And then take those ingredients, and you talked about the digital world, put those ingredients into Google or chat and say, what can I make with these? Bingo! With the I want it to be, Oriental style, whatever, but you put those in and you come out with something. And you can't tell me that when you do that with your kids, they won't have so much fun with it, or do a theme night once a week with food. There's just so much you can do that can make your kitchen so much fun and involve your kids and actually get them helping out in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's easy as well, people, they find it unnecessary and complicated, but we don't, because we've been raised like that. We have the three dish, which is starter, main course, dessert. It doesn't cost a lot. It's not complicated. It's not a rocket science.
Yes.
Trust me, it's not. And every time we have guests or even friends or whatever and things, they are like, wow. I said, no, we are not putting a show. That's what we've been doing forever. And it's, yeah.
So I was going to say something before, because one of my roles is I teach at the Culinary Institute of America. And I don't teach cooking. I teach Introduction to Hospitality. So I'm getting the students into my class when they're just out of high school. Some of the students are, would change their career, but most are fresh out of high school. And so I talk to them about, have they ever been in the hospitality business, a restaurant business or whatever? And I will ask them whether they have been or not, why are you here? And most of them are there because of a memory they have in the kitchen with their family, a lot of their grandmother, or, has to do with their culture a lot of times. And I think that says a lot about where our kitchen is and the memories. And, I can just see when you talk about it that you have oodles and oodles of memories in the kitchen and bonding with your family and the way you do it. It's just, and most families have gotten so far away from that.
Yeah, because by doing so, you maybe indirectly we extend the time around the table, around the dinner table, and extending time, and we go through so many topics, arguments, and depend on what's happening in the world. We talk about school, we talk about. It's like a round table, and it's a non-stop. And the minute someone is in a bad mood, you can quickly figure out that something is wrong. Then we have different approach to try to let that person open up and talk about it. But then if it's short, if you have only one dish, it's going to be Speedy Gonzalez, and everyone. So I guess trying to extend and enjoy the moment, because life is short.
Yeah.
And the only memories we have of the family is those moments, the kitchen.
Yeah, and you were talking about digital. Yeah. Like, you want to get your kids off that? Bring them in the kitchen. Start, they can get on it to look for a recipe or something, but basically, as you said, it's the conversation. Like, use it. And,
How can we teach responsibility and stewardship through food?
Well, I think, once again, it's bringing the conversations into the household. And it's, it's so simple. It's awareness. So the parents have to be more aware, so they can help their kids understand it. Because there's so many conversations to be started, and stewardship. I find that when kids learn about this, they actually police their parents. That's the way kids are. But kids are always like, why this, why that? This is the time through food. Why do we need stewardship? What does it matter? And the conversation about even like food insecurity. Who wants to start talking to their kids about that? Like, it's not an easy conversation. It just doesn't, I don't think it would be received that well when you just start talking about it. But when kids start to get aware of how food gets from the farm to their table, and to get that more respect for food, and also they're going to become stewards. They understand. I feel like teaching kids to respect food should be part of parenting in the way that we teach kids to make their bed in the morning, to say please, thank you, to brush their teeth. This should be right alongside of that. I'd like to say, I've created my mindful kitchen, and I call it the MMK method, which is,
which we're going to talk about shortly.
Yeah, okay.
So you say any value can be taught in the kitchen, and you gave us so many examples so far. And preparing, cooking, and cleaning create that natural moments of growth. What has your own kitchen, Janet, taught you about emotional intelligence?
Emotional intelligence, that's a really hard question to answer. What's your kitchen taught you about my emotional?
Well, it's emotional intelligence is something that we talk about all the time. Maybe it's kind of a trendy thing, but it's all to do with the well-being of every single member of the family. Because something as simple as you said just now, as simple as do your bed, brush your teeth, and there is a time for that, and then without thinking about it, the minute you are used to it, you just do it. And somehow it's kind of, I will not say discipline. Yes, it's but it's part of the day-to-day task that you have to do. All these things, studies shows that, and of course, there is no a silver bullet or one fit solution for every single family or every single household. It brings this cohesion, this sense of belonging within the family itself, and somehow apparently it impacts the emotional intelligence.
Absolutely. Well, it connects families, and I believe also that people are born all with good values. And I think as we go through life, and our kids, especially now with social media, it's so easy to get out of those values, to just go and follow what someone else is doing. And I think as far as if you're in the kitchen with your kids and have these times, it helps connect them to their values. And I think then, as you said, emotional intelligence it's there. They were born with it. They've just disconnected from it. And the activities, and I don't know if that's the right word, you can do in the kitchen as a family can bring them back to it. And it's also, it's bonding. Come on, how many, we're talking about, you bond, and that becomes natural. And so with that in mind, after I read my son's college essay, I made it more of a point to be there for them in the kitchen and more. And I see how my kids, my son and my daughter and their families, it means so much. Like, even though we're separated by a little bit of a distance, it's important to get together for mealtime. Yeah. And as you know, it's not just about the food, though we are really good cooks and we make really good food, but it's not about that. If we brought in pizzas, it's just as great, Yeah. And it's not about being perfect. It's not about feeling obligated. It's about doing it the way that feels good. But,
You talk about growing up with the curse of abundance. What does that mean?
It means that I know that anytime I go into a grocery store, it's all perfect food. There's never any you won't find a bruised apple or a funny looking carrot. And that's horrible too, because we need to, like those carrots that have, 3 prongs, I don't know what you call them, I guess that's the root.
Yeah.
Instead of one, they taste just as good. They took as many resources to, to create water, the land, the human resources to get it to your table. That's abundance when you throw those things out because they don't look right. Abundance is, I don't know, I think in my house right now, I could probably live for 6 months maybe without really having to go to this grocery store. That's, I almost feel embarrassed to say that.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people, and I do a lot of volunteer work with food insecurity organizations. And I just, oh my goodness, there's so many people who are struggling right now. And things like programs like SNAP are going to be taken away for a lot of people starting November. I know bias because of cuts to the federal.
Cuts,
and then because of cuts in the federal government, there's other programs that even our big regional food banks don't have food on the shelves because they need to be, and that food, so like the food pantry that I work for gets grants, but those grants can only purchase food from the regional food bank that's given by the FDA, I think it is. And that's not there anymore. So they have this grant money and they can't even use it. So we're going into the holiday season. Yeah. And if any, it's really important to support your local food banks right now because they need it more than ever. And it's not they need it, it's the community.
The community
needs it. And, so I'm embarrassed to say how much food I have in my house. And when it comes to thinking about it that way.
Yeah. Which is sad. And
we're at I forget. In the United States, so that's basically the challenges we're facing here with some of the stuff that's going on, and we won't even get into that.
You were talking earlier about how beautiful the fruits and veggies we found in the supermarket shelves. Is it still popular in the U.S., the Saturday or Sunday farmers market?
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. And once again, that's a great experience to bring your kids to because chat with local farmers, really find out where it comes from.
Which is tough for them.
Yeah. And, I live in upstate New York, and I am surrounded by farms and, all year-round farm stands. And I have my favorite farm stand for tomatoes. I have my favorite farm stand for peaches, one for strawberries. And I'm very fortunate to do that. But, even in the city, they have
better quality.
Yeah. And it's a great way to get out of the grocery store. And once again, support local, which is I'm a big advocate for. And I think.
And how is the quality, Janet?
In where?
In the farm markets.
Oh my God.
Day and night.
Oh my goodness! As I said, like my freezer is full right now because we just ended tomato season, and we're going to the end of not peach season, peppers, and we just finished corn, and I have those all in my freezer, right? I've prepped them and put them there, so I have them all winter long. And I take one of those tomatoes out, and talk about tomatoes. If you get a tomato going bad, you can throw it in the freezer as is. You don't have to do anything to it. When you take it out, you're not going to eat it fresh, but to put in sauces or anything, the skin just peels off if you want it. But such a simple trick. But anytime I throw that into anything I'm cooking all winter long, it just magically brightens the dish. And, and every time I eat it, and I get this from my mother because I remember how she used to just look and smell tomatoes or basil or whatever. Every time you just appreciate that tomato and who grew it. Yeah, so, once again, important to support local, but it's also important to know where your food comes from and how far it travels. Just like if you were going to travel from New York to California, you'd be pretty miserable, like a long trip without any stops, right?
Yeah.
It wears and tears on the produce too. So the closer you can
produce,
have it to home,
Yeah.
the better. It's
What is crazy that so many folks, so many youngsters, they have no idea about seasonal fruits and vegetables, because everything is provided, even exotic fruits, for example. Now everyone thinks that bananas they grow next door,
it's crazy,
or
right?
which is crazy. And remember, we grew up basically the change of the season, beside of the weather itself, and beside of you change your clothes and things like that. The food change as well. Therefore, the dishes they change.
And that's important to understand too, right? Yes.
Yeah.
I just went out and I got from my farm market a couple squash, the acorn squash, the butternut squash, and the cauliflower is like good to go right now.
Yeah.
And but the other thing is, I was talking to someone the other day, and we were talking about food waste, and I was talking about how the head of cauliflower that I just bought from my local farm market, it was $5.99, which is expensive. Okay, I don't know what food costs by you, but it's
$5.99 a kilo.
okay. It was I don't know, it was a head for the
okay.
$5.99. But if I went to the grocery store, I would get it probably for $3.99. But first of all, the head was huge. Second of all, because it costs a little bit more, I appreciate it more. I use it more sparingly. I make
Right.
sure I'm not going to waste it. I make sure it's so there is something to be said about that too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I think the season stuff or seasonality teaches us patience and respect. That's what I really believe. Because, and appreciation, by the way, that's another thing. You appreciate the things that they are provided. For example, we know that when winter is here, the first kickstart the dinner is soup.
oh, yes.
And then you have so many, depend from where you are or where you come from. I mean, you can make soup out of anything, anything.
Exactly.
Anything, whatever is left over you have in the fridge or in the pantry or, anything. It's a simple dish and yet delicious, nutritious. Bon, little ones, depend. Some of them, they don't like soup.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
like simple tools like an immersion blender. Do you know what that is?
yeah.
I mean, so sometimes the produce or whatever, they don't want it chunky or whatever.
Yeah, they won't, yeah.
Yeah, but you brought up a good point too about when you asked me about abundance. And I was talking about the look of the fruits and vegetables, and even every shelf, whether it's a box or, cereal aisle, it's always just stacked beautiful. But let's go back to the produce and the fruits. Abundance. Why should we have bananas all year round or whatever it is? There's just, why have those when they've come so far and they're like strawberries? There's always strawberries in the supermarket. But in New York right now, it's not strawberry season. So why are we hauling them all the way from California where they are in season or whatever and just getting used to it? That's abundance.
Yeah, it is.
It's abundance. And we feel like we need to have all those things available because when we want them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. How did your hospitality background, Janet, shape your leadership lens?
Oh, well, I owned 3 restaurants in my time, very busy restaurants. So once again, things have changed in the industry, but back
In
then...
which way?
Well, right now after COVID, just in many, many ways, and the use of technology coming in and whatnot. But one of my restaurants, I had a staff of about 50 people. And, you have to lead in a positive way that makes them I teach hospitality, so I'm very into hospitality. And I don't believe hospitality is spent just on our customers. It has to be throughout our staff also. You have to be treat your, and that's one of the ways the industry has changed. I think if people think about the restaurant industry, they think about yelling and screaming and, craziness and not treating the staff with that respect. I mean, you still see it in TV shows right now. It's still occurring. But because it's so hard to get staff, it's really been a change in the way you need to, Danny Myers, who is famous in this part of the world as the king of hospitality. He's, if you've heard of Shake Shack or Union Square Cafe, all those.
Yeah.
And he has something he calls enlightened hospitality. And that is like you have 5 stakeholders in the hospitality industry. You have your investors, you have your vendors, you have your customers, you have your employees, and then you have the community. And in enlightened hospitality, I always ask my students, so who comes first? Like, who do you take care of first? And of course, everyone says, oh, you got to take care of the customer because the customer is always right. Well, that's not what enlightened hospitality is. Enlightened hospitality is about taking care of your employees first. Because if your employees are happy, then your customers are happy.
Correct.
Then your community's happy. Then your vendors are happy. And then your investors are happy. So that's the hierarchy, is starting with your employees first. And I've always believed in that type of leadership, which is not actually rampant in the restaurant industry or any industry, but I think you definitely, reap the rewards. And you just, if you want to have people stay with you a long time, you got to give them reasons to stay.
Yeah.
And I always say, as the restaurant owner, I never wanted to be the smartest person in the room either. Or I always wanted to listen to what my staff said and take suggestions, and even what my customers said, but that's another thing. But listening to what they say so they feel like they're empowered, and that, it just makes for a much happier family. Yeah, so
Earlier during our intro chat, you said something very interesting and yet so simple and effective. What does cooking with love actually look like when you're tired or busy?
Cooking with love when you're tired and busy means, once again, if you're doing it with a family dinner, is putting it out there with a smile on your face and just appreciating their time. The food could taste horrible, but you're with your family, and it's mindset.
Yeah.
And as I said, my mother's food was, I was talking about this with my brother the other day. Mom, don't take offense, but my mom's food sometimes wasn't all that tasty. Like she wasn't a heavy seasoner. But the love she brought into it, I'll take her stuffed peppers any day. I make mine different, but I'll take hers any day because I just think about them. And my husband talked about the first time he ate at my house, and my mother made stuffed cabbage for him. And he was like, I'm not eating stuffed cabbage. But he tasted it because, you know what? It was really good. And he admits it was because it was the care and love that was put into it.
What's a food memory that still brings up emotions for you, Janet?
Well, first of all, just going to the farm markets with my mom and the way she used to hold tomatoes. I talk about that all the time. And but I also was just talking about this yesterday with my dad, how when I was in high school, my mom loved having my friends over. She loved to cook for them. She loved to, share. And I think it was her way of like making sure I was connected with her and she knew who I was hanging out with. But my friends never felt that. They felt it was just spectacular, to be able to have them over. So that, and plus we always had family over. My mother loved to entertain, and so it was a way of always having friends over and family, not just my friends, but I'm still friends with her friends because they used to come over and share meals together, and so much fun, right?
Yeah,
so much fun.
Yeah, indeed. Food has this power which is quite often it ties into identity and generational connections from generation to generation, I see it in my family. And have you seen food repair or strengthen relationships within a family?
I don't know if I can come up with I know it does. I mean, I know, as I said, holidays and stuff like that are great because you always have food. And, we have a lot of nationalities in our family, so there's always different things to have. As far as repair, I think it does that silently. Like, I don't know if I can really give you an example, and I'm quite fortunate. My family, for the most part, get along really well, So it strengthens it in the respect that it gives us an excuse to get together.
Yeah, yeah, period.
Yeah, exactly.
Well said. Well said. We spoke earlier about farmers market and buying local, and which I must say in the big cities here in Europe, we're starting to lose that, Janet,
Are you?
believe it or not. Yeah, the minute you go out from big cities, it's common. It's really common. And one of the nicest feature that going out from a big city that you enjoy. I mean, anything, local meat, fish, some local dishes that you see on various stands and things. And beyond that setting, you have the community feeling. In your opinion, with your experience, Janet, what does buying local really mean in terms of community health?
Oh, I mean, first of all, it's great to support your community. It's great when you go to a place to buy and you get to see your community and neighbors and all. But I think, once again, we talk about cooking with love. It's farming with love. When you meet the farmers and you actually support them, it means so much to them. And they appreciate it. They'll tell you they do. And, right now, where I am, the fall in the Hudson Valley is the busiest season because we have apple picking, pumpkin picking, we have leaf peeping, we call it, because our leaves are turning all different colors. And the people that are coming out from the city are coming up to the Hudson Valley, and their coming is so important to our local economy too. I know a lot of local farmers, and I know that if you have like weeks on end of rain, how much it devastates their business. And as far as local, even though we're local, and it can be annoying to be so overrun by people coming out of the city, we also appreciate them coming and appreciating everything we have to offer. So supporting local is just, to me, should be so natural. I mean, it's not only the food tastes better, because, as I said, I have a different farm market for everything, because every farm has different soil. So one farm could grow corn here, and one farm could grow corn here, and this is the corn I like because of the soil, Yeah, local is what it's all about, we're so global in everything right now that it takes away from the love.
Yeah. You spoke earlier about the main pillars of my mindful kitchen. What's your vision, Janet, for how this method grows within schools, parents, and coaches?
So I want to make a world of mindful foodies. And those are people who show respect for food, not only for their physical, but for the emotional health of them, others, and the planet. So I hope not to have to do, the MMK method. I hope in 10 years it's not needed, because that's what bringing up our kids and they're just following it. But I really, honestly, as I've developed it over the last 3 years, I see the need for it more than ever. As I said, I'm worried about the planet, and I'm worried about the values kids are learning, and I think that we all will be a much better place. The world would be a much better place if everyone became a mindful foodie. And it sounds so crazy, but I want it to be a movement, And when I was always scared of bringing the elephant into the room, like climate change. There's a few elephants, inflation, at least where we are, and just cuts in the administration. Always worried about that scaring people off. But I think if we keep putting our heads in the sand, like someone has to come out and say it.
Yeah.
Food waste can solve a lot, by reducing food waste and becoming mindful foodies. There are so many problems that won't be solved, but you'll be working in a positive direction.
Yeah.
And I think people need positivity in their life and to feel like they're doing something. And
because the elephant in the room, as you stated, Janet, is not only a climate change, is we have another one, which is a huge, and quite often we don't talk about it, which is poverty.
yes,
Poverty. So many people can't afford or go, put it this way, they go to bed with empty stomach. So many kids that I know here in Europe goes to bed empty stomach. Period.
exactly.
And we should talk about it. And there is so much waste out there. That could be,
So it all goes together. So being a mindful foodie brings all those into play, and you have control, and you don't have to wait for laws to be passed or for policies to be put in place. If you start in your kitchen, because that's why I think people always, even here, people are waiting when you talk about food waste. They're waiting for composting, to be a part of, the counties or, the states regulate. Well, that's not going to happen soon enough. You don't have to wait. Composting is not, that's the end solution. The beginning solution is to reduce it, to prevent it. Okay, so it's not about, there's...
And Janet, specifically on that, sorry to cut you.
No, it's fine.
If you have to give an advice to families, what's one small, powerful change families can start, let's say, this week?
Yeah, and it's just one thing. And I was just trying to think, because the one I was going to say is get organized, but that's not a little thing. But if you do it in pieces, like to organize your refrigerator correctly, so you see what you have, and
quite often they dump stuff at the back and they don't even see what is there until it's the smell starts to develop, and things are rotting and getting wasted.
Right. And when you look in your refrigerator, I always say this, and it's a mess. You stress about it every single time you open it up. If you spend 2 hours to get organized and stay organized,
it takes less than 2 hours.
It takes less. And the stress, you're not feeling the stress. How much you're relieving the stress. And, once again, part of the MMK method is it goes in a few different, in an order, and it starts with awareness, like we've just been talking about. I'm sure people listening, a lot of them are, just have a new awareness, a new respect for food. Even if it's just a little bit, it's something. And then it's about learning how to organize and organize your spaces so you know what you have. It's about planning, and it's also about keeping your food fresher. So that's the next step. The third one is learning how to shop properly. How do you shop? And, writing lists and making sure people also, that's another thing. People's like, I don't want to make a list, or meal plan, that's going to take too long. But think about how much stress it will relieve, in the course of the week. And then, and then it's about how to use your kitchen, how to store, how to cook, and use the ingredients you have efficiently. So it's, one thing is just change your mindset about just, I'm going to like my kitchen today. I'm going to, or make one meal. It's little steps. And then, this is the other thing I say, And I say little steps because once you do it one time and once you gain awareness, I say once a mindful foodie, always a mindful foodie.
Always
This
mindful.
is nothing, you can't step backwards. You won't step backwards.
No.
Right?
No,
'Cause-
you can't. Yeah, in this medium, in this platform, we spoke a lot. But it's a sport podcast,
Yeah.
related to sport. But forget it. And you asked me that question: am I going to be relevant to your audience and things? Yes, you you will, because we were talking about in this. I had so many guests that talk about performance and well-being, about recovery, what kind of food for athletes to keep the performance, to perform better, etc., etc. We talk about gut health. We talk about so many things that relate food versus sport. We talked about regenerative farming and ranching. People that love meat or hate meat. But you are the first person that comes to the show and speak openly about our relation as a species to food. Since we open our eyes, a baby born, when they open their eyes, the first connection they have with their mom, beside of having that first breathing and crying, is food. And what you're telling us, the kitchen, the family, it's those things that they are so sacred, so important, so vital because of our crazy lifestyle, less and less time. We find excuses that we don't have time, but those moments in the kitchen or in the dining room, around the dining table, are so important, absolutely vital. And I think we're starting to lose touch with that, Yeah.
So, and to your point too, is when you talk about, people come in and talk about performance, and that's physical health. I think what I'm trying to, physical health is so important too, and I totally believe you are what you eat, and, we know that. But we forget about the emotional health that we can have and how it can bring positive emotions in a world that sometimes feels so negative. So what you choose, your food choices matter, not just for your physical, for your emotional health. And if I just brought this, people are just listening and finding out about how food affects the environment or anything like that, there's going to be a little bit, I think anyone feels guilty when they're wasteful, even if, whatever they're wasting. But when you learn to do something such as this, and as I said, it's like when you find all your socks that match. You don't have enough
if I go slightly back to what you said, a lot of people, they feel bad about waste. Let me give you this simple example. So many kids, if they don't finish the plate, they don't feel bad about it. And I think that's not normal.
They don't know what happens afterwards. They don't know if it gets thrown out or whatever.
But
I also think
we have the duty to teach them since the get-go that you are served the meal, finish the plate, period.
But parents have to blame for this too, giving too much.
Giving too much, yeah.
Portion size is important.
Or like I say to my little one, Sebastian, you eat with your eyes. Meaning filling the plate.
Yeah. So I think it's something, and that's part of being a mindful foodie, is understanding portion size.
Yeah.
I remember my mother, once again, my older brother didn't want to eat. I only heard the story. I don't remember because my brother was probably 3. I don't even know if I was born yet. But he wasn't eating. So my mother took him to the doctor and said, he's not eating. She goes, well, what are you serving him? And she goes, serve him less. So my mother started a dinner off and gave him 1 pea, 1 ear of corn, and 1 little piece of meat. And so my brother sat down. From what I understand, he ate those all and got up and says, can I be excused? So she was mortified, but she kept on adding a little bit each meal.
Yeah.
And, but part of being a mindful foodie is understanding how you feed your physical health too. What should be on your plate, how much of it should be vegetables, how many should be a grain, how much should be a meat. So, but that can all happen in your kitchen with your kids. That's conversation. So much fun. So easy. I make it
is.
sound easy. It's not easy. It's not easy. People are always saying
We
picky eaters.
Yeah, yeah. We can talk about this stuff for days. You're listening to the Pre-Zero Sports Talk. For more conversations on sports leadership, faith, performance, and innovation from Sweden to the world, visit prezerosportstalk.com. Now it's time for our lightning round.
Uh-oh.
Ready for speedy Q&A?
No. Should I be?
It's going to be easy and fun. I can...
Okay. All right.
So, what's a food that always brings you comfort?
Stuffed peppers.
One meal your mom made that stuck with you.
Her meatballs.
Well, we love meatballs here in Sweden. Apparently, we created meatballs. One food you just can't eat or hate.
Oh, any kind of pate or anything. I'm a consistency person, so yeah, pate.
So no foie gras for you.
No foie gras. No, not even. Don't even bring it in the house.
Cookbook you swear by.
Oh, I don't use cookbooks.
Okay.
I don't. I think about what I want to eat, and then I look in my refrigerator and I see what I have, and I just.
So you improvise.
I do, and that's why I don't
Yeah.
bake. So I don't bake because
Yeah.
you have to follow a recipe.
Early bird or a night owl?
I'm in between right now, to be honest with you. I don't have a great answer for that one. I guess more of a night owl.
Night owl. Okay. So this one is interesting. What's always in your fridge?
What's always in my fridge? Right now, tomatoes, because they're in season. But
Here we go. Tomatoes.
tomatoes, yeah. If they're in season, if they're in season, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Go to snack when no one is looking.
The leftover, the leftover pork chop in the refrigerator.
One kitchen tool you couldn't live without.
One kitchen tool I could live without. My frying pan. My saute pan. It's just something I use all the time. Is that a tool? That's a tool,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
It's a tool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. What do you listen to while cooking?
Usually podcasts. Yeah.
Okay.
This podcast. Is that a good answer?
This one.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Janet, if you have an opportunity to have a dinner with a historical figure, who would it be and why?
Can I say Julia Child? She's not a historical figure, but in my world, she is.
Of course you can.
Julia Child. Absolutely.
There we go.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
No doubt about that.
yeah. And she had how many books?
Oh, so many.
So many. And there is the famous one, which is two, based on French cuisine or French gastronomy, one for cooking and one for baking. And believe it or not, I have those two books.
You do. And I
Yes.
remember childhood memory with my mom watching her on TV. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, yeah.
So great. And I actually saw her at the restaurant show in New York City like 10 years ago. And I was just like amazed. It was so great.
Favorite season to cook in?
I would have to say right now, fall here.
Fall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fall foods, yes. When you're
Agree with you.
soups, yeah, bringing soups
Yes.
and nice
Stew.
comfort foods, yes.
Yeah.
Squashes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Coffee or tea or something else?
Coffee.
What's a value you hope your kids learned from you?
Kindness. And care for others.
If your kitchen could talk, what would it say about you?
I was going to say, clean me. I made a dish. I cooked
You
something.
know, that's tough. That's difficult. And it's important. You
What?
know,
D-
keeping the kitchen
kitchen-
clean and tidy while you're cooking or baking.
Yeah, and I cooked something yesterday. I had to make something for 30 people, and it's for later today. And so my kitchen right now, it looks like, I'm looking at it right now because it's part of my living room, everything. And so when you ask me
It's an
that
open
question,
space
I'm
kitchen.
looking, I'm like, oh no, but what would my kitchen, yeah, we're family. Me and my kitchen, we're like this. We love each other.
Off topic, Janet, do you have some sort of design kitchen that goes with the way you cook, the way you prepare the meals? Meaning, do you design your own kitchen?
Well, I moved into a house, so the kitchen is, I have a very minimal kitchen right now. The house is a very open, but, I was more into and loved in a restaurant kitchen design. That is such an important part of operations and aesthetics and the feel of it. I love commercial kitchen design. That really interests me. But
and when you do that process, what's the first thing that is on your mind?
Efficiency.
The chef, the staff?
For a kitchen, efficiency and just making sure that there's enough storage space and things are easily gotten at. But I'm thinking first of the chef and then the support staff and just how it just flows in and out of the dining room. And,
Is it an easy process or is it slightly complicated?
It's complicated. It makes sense. And I used to consult for restaurants, and I've seen so many kitchens that were totally, there was not enough attention put towards that. And people don't understand how that severely affects your ability to get food out of the kitchen and the happiness of the staff and therefore the happiness of the customer. But, little tweaks can make such a difference in, as I said, efficiency and the timing and also the quality that you're getting out. So it's like a puzzle. That's why I like it. It's a lot of fun. And
Yeah. And one word that sums up your relationship with food?
I would have to say love, because I think it just brings so much love, and that's a value, and it's life,
Yes.
So.
Yeah. And on love and life, Janet, thank you very much for being with us today.
Sid, it was a pleasure being here. A very fun conversation. As you said, I was a little nervous about it. Wasn't sure how it was going to go and fit into what you do, but you made me feel very comfortable, and I appreciate being able to get the word out.
Thank you. As we wrap up, something you said remind me of a verse from Proverbs. Better a small serving of vegetables with love than a fattened calf with hatred.
Oh my goodness.
It speaks to the heart of what you've shared, Janet, today with us, that love, very important, intention and presence mean more than perfection or performance, especially around the table. And before we end, I want to leave you with this. When we talk about food, we're not just talking about taste or routines, we're talking about dignity. Around the world, and even here in the West, too many children still goes to bed hungry. Too many families rely on school meals because they simply can't afford the proper meal at home. So let's be grateful for what we have. Let's do our very best not to waste food, to help the needy however we can, and to lead with empathy and love through our daily choices. That's the least we can do, and often it's the most powerful. Again, empathy and love. Janet, once again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Beautiful.
We want to thank you for joining our show. If you enjoyed this episode, we have more for you. You can now watch the entire episode on our YouTube and Spotify channels. While you're here, subscribe and don't forget to tap the bell. Visit prezerosportstalk.com to explore more conversations on sports, leadership, faith, performance, and innovation. From Sweden to the world. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and make a difference. We'll see you soon. Take care.